Hey y'all, this is Tyler Blake with Tyler's Comics, and I am doing a little bit of inking and watercolor on the second issue of my horror comic here, titled An Anthological Archive of Great Ghastly Horror. Oh, excuse me one moment. There. I forgot to turn on. Oh, there we go. I forgot to turn on my microphone. If y'all couldn't hear that, this is Tyler Blake with Tyler's Comics. I'm doing a little bit of inking and watercoloring here on an anthological archive of Great Ghastly Horror, my very own horror comic. This is from page 2, where my host, the curator, is introducing a story from Ambrose Bierce. And I'm just going to be working on this while I pitch my campaign for my first issue, which is live on Kickstarter right now. It is the final day of my campaign. There are 14 hours to go, and I'm at 89%. And I'm actually like 89.8%. So I'm like really close to 90%. So if y'all find yourself weeping for want of a horror comic, uh, you can find it on Kickstarter. You can search Tyler Blake Comics, or the title again is An Anthological Archive of Great Ghastly Horror. Let's see, we have, hey, Brian Delaney. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see here. So yeah, I am confident that we are going to hit our funding goal of $1,000. And we've had good momentum today, and I have always heard that you get the most activity the first 1 to 3 days and the last 1 to 3 days of your Kickstarter, and that has proven true. I always felt like I could reach it, and there were times where I got kind of more nervous and where imposter syndrome kicked in a little bit more. So it's really good to see pledges rolling in and getting marching on towards victory. So how are you, Brian? Everything going good? Um, let's see. I am going to do a little bit more work on the background on the second panel here. And let's see. Getting some. Actually, I am not as in frame as I. Excuse me 1 minute. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Brian and anybody else who joins in. It's my tablet that I'm using to film this sits right about at eye level, so I have to kind of crane to see, and like there's glare, so I'm going to hold this in the front. Let's see. Great at work. I am at work also, my friend. My boss is pretty good about letting me carve out a little bit of time for my creative projects when it's not a busy day. So that said, I can probably do this for about a half an hour, and I'm going to do this several times throughout the day since it's the last day of my Kickstarter campaign, and I'm working hard to push over that last couple feet to the funding goal. The hmm, uh, if I if something comes up, if there's something important I need to deal with at work, I will have to bail before that, and I will be back probably at least 2 or 3 more times today from when I sign off. But as of right now, I should have about half an hour. The I have always wondered if there's like an optimal amount of time for live streaming, not just time of the day, but like how is there a duration that people find digestible, I guess. Like, is there a balance between the bother of tuning in and going too long? So just something I've always kind of been curious about. So I'm going to throw. I think I need to throw some more trees back here too. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna switch brushes here and just pull that down. Thicker there. Some more pigment. Um, I beg y'all to forgive me. I have come to I've come to accept the fact that I talk to myself while I paint. Hopefully that's not irritating. Actually, I didn't realize how much I do that until I was checking the audio on. I just wanted to see how it sounded on one of the live streams I had recorded, and I was just going through it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of muttering to myself a lot while I'm doing this, and it's not like a tutorial exactly, but it's kind of like explaining what I'm doing to myself, I guess. So, but hopefully it's not off-putting. So I'm going to add just a little bit of color tone on those. So it's starting to dry already. And that wants to get a little darker. I might have to clear that up with some ink later. I got that thicker than I wanted to, so I think I'm going to make this leaf bow a little bigger because it looks off balance right now. Yeah. Okay. I like that a little better. Okay. Oops. Let's see what is going on with my camera here. Oh, sorry about that, y'all. Probably nobody was looking for the up the nostril shot. Let's see. Brian says, do I scan the pages after I do? So process wise, I do my pencils in Clip Studio Paint because I dislike erasing, and I have a bad tendency to, like, if I'm drawing traditionally, because I totally learned how to draw traditionally. I didn't really start trying digital in earnest until about 4.5, 5 years ago, somewhere in there. Um, I'm a technophobe, so I when I draw traditionally, like if I was doing this drawing traditionally, I would tend to, on my sketches, I would tend to go like darker than I should, and I would have like a lot of scratchy lines. And then I would spend a lot of time erasing, and I dislike that. So that was one of the things that got me to try digital at all, was like the idea that I could print out just clean pencils to ink. Um, and then so yeah, so I print out the pencils on. I have a Brother Workforce. Uh, I would have to get back to you on the model number, but it's a printer. It's a large format printer, so it does 11 by 17 paper, and it also scans. It's a multifunction, so it scans and will print 11 by 17. So let's see. So, yes, um, and I print out the pencils on my 11 by 17 watercolor paper. I ink them traditionally, and then I do the watercolor. So that's my current process. And before I decided to dive into watercolor paper, it was the same thing, except I was printing it out on the Strathmore toned um, multimedia paper and doing it with mostly Copic markers back then. And that's how I did pretty much all of the first issue. So let's see. Nice. Yeah, I enjoy it. It's I did try doing the inking and coloring digitally for about it was probably over a year, and I did a one-page dinosaur comic that way, and I did just a bunch of single images that way, and I had started on a comic project that my brother and I are working on together, um, because he writes, and so we've always wanted to do comics together, and so he writes these fantasy novels, and he did a short story that I adapted as a comic. Um, and I was working on that completely digitally. And after a while, I was like, you know what? I just do not enjoy digital inking and digital coloring at all. Like doing all of it digital was starting to suck the joy of art out for me. And so, and I was just never happy with the way it looked. And I really missed the tactile, like, holding the brush and feeling it drag on the paper, having the texture of the paper. So I am, I have learned to love digital pencils, but I'm a confirmed traditional inker and colorist now. And if it was taking too long to do the colors, or if there was some reason I couldn't do that, if for some reason I had to do digital colors, I would probably try and find a colorist to hire, because I'd be like, yeah, it's just not my thing. So I like the way it looks when other people who are good at it do it. But it's as far as like my own time that I spend on art, I just really prefer to do it this way. And like my traditional inks and colors look better than when I do it digitally. So, how about you, Brian? What are you working on right now? And do you have a preference between digital, traditional, or a mix of the two? Um, One of the things I've been kind of thinking about is that I've been told that um, a lot of people use Adobe InDesign to get their comics ready for print, and I don't have Adobe InDesign. I have I do everything in Clip Studio Paint. The only thing I use Photoshop for is to convert from RGB to CMYK. So that the print turns out good. And this is the first book I've printed. I did a Kickstarter back in February and March of this year for a one-page comic, kind of poster print about a cryptid known as Bat Squatch from where I used to live in Washington. And that was the only time I ever open Photoshop anymore is to convert files to CMYK. I don't hate Photoshop in as much as I uh, am not super crazy about technology in general, but I just really prefer Clip Studio Paint. So that needs to be darker, right? Come on, darker, darker, I say. There we go. I know this watercolor always dries lighter, so I just have to remember to push it here and there. Just needs a little shove. Okay, and that needs to be darker right there on the suit. I have been doing most of my live streaming from the cafeteria here at work, but my boss took today off, so I am making use of his office. I was saying yesterday, it's kind of fun when people stop by to, people see you doing this and they're like, oh, hey, is that a comic book? And, it's kind of fun, but it can be distracting. And then if I'm trying to talk to y'all, and I don't want to be like rude and ignore people that are asking questions in person either. So this takes some of the perceived conflict out of that for me. And the other thing that happens too is like people come up and I've had people think that I was using my tablet to look up reference photos. 'Cause, I have it in this like clamp arm about a foot above the surface I'm working on, and people say, "Oh, are you using that for reference?" And I say, "No, I'm live streaming." Or I'll tell them I'm live streaming right away just so they know. And they always get like this panic look on their face, like they just ruined like I have to call off Christmas because they said something during my live stream. And it's totally fine. But so I thought I would do this a little bit more privately today. Let's see. I'm compiling a book of traditional drawings of my dogs and clothes, assembling. Oh, excuse me. Assembling the book in Affinity. I am not familiar with Affinity. Is that do you like it, Affinity? And is that like a dedicated let's see, what do I mean? I guess I'm asking, is Affinity specifically for getting books formatted? Let's see. Okay, I'm going to I think I'm going to do a little more ground texture on this top panel here. Get some blue. I had put in some shadow around these fellows yesterday, but I want more. Let's see. It is it's a free Adobe alternative. Okay, that's cool. So yeah, actually, when I first decided to actually, let me think for a second. It was before I started. It was before I started drawing digitally, but I think I know what it was. I was trying to do some merchandise, and I was taking my drawings and trying to scan them and um, put them on T-shirts and stuff. And I learned that I needed to remove like all the fuzzy little background stuff that just naturally shows up. And I used GIMP for several years while I was kind of figuring that out. But so far as I understand, I will ask you about this in just a second. GIMP doesn't allow you to convert files to CMYK for print, and Clip Studio doesn't. I was thinking that only Adobe did that, but do you know if Affinity will let you convert to CMYK? Because I will definitely have to check that out, especially if it's free. So that's interesting. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Yes. Okay, cool. I will definitely check that out. That sounds pretty rad. Um do you Brian, have you experimented with live streaming at all? Do you do any of that? Um I you know, I would definitely consider myself a novice at the streaming part, and um whenever I'm trying to learn a new thing that deals with technology at all, I it's just not my wheelhouse, let's say, not my forte. Um, I think I need a little bit of ground texture right under that soot to kind of sit them down there. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I am going to let that dry for a minute and I'll come back to it. So that means it's time to do some more work on this panel here. But before I do watercolor, there's a couple lines that I missed when I was inking. Hey, thanks, Brian. Yeah, like it's actually I'm gonna let's see. Oh, okay. I missed. Okay, actually, Brian, I just speaking of being a technophobe, I just now realized that I can click on what you said and scroll up and see everything that I missed. Okay, so that is cool. Yeah, it is. I back when you said that's cool, they're so flexible. It helps me a lot. Let's see, digital for my comics. Okay, Affinity.studio. Cool. Thank you for clarifying on that. And let's see. Okay, so you have not started live streaming either. I don't. Let's see. I'm not the guy to advise on that. um, the what I've heard other people say is just to just to tune into some people's live streams and see what they do. And it's being tech challenged. Like I've seen people live stream like their digital. You were mentioning that you do digital for your comics. I tried. I think I tried StreamYard, and when I do my digital pencils, I'm just using a Samsung. I think it's a Galaxy S6 Lite. It runs Clip Studio fine, but when I tried to stream with StreamYard, it got super laggy. It was, it was pretty awful. It wasn't something that would be, in my opinion, watchable. I tried it a couple times. I tried it in different parts of the building to, see if I could get better Wi-Fi signal going out or something like that. And it just didn't seem viable for me. So, I, but I've seen other people that just, go crazy doing their digital, and I imagine they probably are running like an iPad or something that just, is more is better made for that. So I might have to replace my tablet soon because Clip Studio has started crashing a lot, and it's driving me a little. It doesn't do it all the time, but like if it's just like it has temperamental days where it just doesn't want to run for very long, and then I'll be working and it starts. I get a little message box that pops up and it says Clip Studio is not working, and it gives me the option to close the app or wait. And so when it starts doing that, I make sure I save everything and just go ahead and close it. And sometimes if I restart the tablet, it helps. But it's that to me, I guess that's the downside for me of working digitally, because if I'm working on paper, that never happens. the Let's see, I think I got everything I need to up there. So okay, let's see where are we at here. Okay, so I'm going to take this is either a hockey brush or a hake brush. I'm not certain. It's a Japanese type, and let's see. I'm going to just get some fluid down here. Actually, you know what? I'm almost out of time, so I'm not going to start that because I won't get very far. I'm just going to get a little more background on the second panel. So, I think probably need a couple more tombstones behind the curator. I'm going to take this opportunity to point out again that this is the last day of my Kickstarter. When I started this live stream, we were at 89% funded with 14 hours to go. And so we're definitely getting close, and no pressure to back. But if you do find yourself in the market for a horror comic, please do check that out on Kickstarter. And the title is An Anthological Archive of Great Ghastly Horror. Um, I do feel that we will make our goal today, and then late pledges will be active, assuming that I do fund today, for about 2 weeks. And then I'll be sending out surveys and getting this sent off to the printer. Some of the rewards I'll be making myself, like one of the add-ons that was available for every pledge was uh, I'm doing these glow-in-the-dark bookmarks that I'm going to do at home. That's kind of there's certain things I just kind of like to do DIY, right? And I love glow-in-the-dark stuff. So when I was like, what could I do? I was kind of brainstorming ideas, and uh, I thought, yeah, I want that. I need to do those. I have so like when I unlocked some milestone bonuses during the campaign. Um, when we hit like 25%, 50%, and so on. So all the physical backers are getting a glow in the dark sticker with my logo on it. Those I'm having printed. And then like one of the reward tiers, one of the variant covers is a glow in the dark cover, and that I'm having printed also. So, but for something on bookmarks is like the right size project for me to try and do DIY. Let's see. And then, I wanted to mention too. So Tuesday is Veterans Day, and one of the actually I have 3 tiers for this. I partnered with an organization called Comic Books for Kids and Comic Books for Troops. So it's one organization and they do both. So they take donations of comic books and they send them either to children's hospitals for children and teens that are facing serious illness, like leukemia, um, that kind of thing. And for Comics for Troops, they send comic books out to remote military bases where people are serving far away from their family and friends. And so Kickstarter doesn't allow you to raise funds for charity, but you can. So, like on these tiers, you buy a comic for yourself, and like the lowest one is one for you and one for them. So, like you get a comic for yourself, and then I send one to Comic Books for Kids. And then once a month, they send them out. Oh, I hear Godzilla, so that's my timer. I'm gonna finish my thought here. The um, the middle tier, I started off at you get 1 comic for yourself and 5 for Comics for Kids. And they've reviewed it's a horror comic, so they've reviewed it and determined it's fine for teens. So all the comics I send to them will be going to teens in hospitals facing serious illness, or to military bases. And so on that one, since you're and I priced the donation comics a little bit lower because when I'm shipping them together, it costs less. So it's not the same price. It's a better deal that way. But to recognize people's generosity, they get bumped up to one of the variant covers. Actually, the one of the more rare variant covers on the comic. And then actually, I'm going to show that because I have it right here. Bear with me. Brian, I hope you don't feel like I'm giving you too much of a sales pitch because this is also for people who watch the replay of this later. So, okay, so here is, so this is variant cover D. This is the original that I did. I'm going to move my water out of the way so I don't have anything tragic happen. Hang on, there we go. Okay, so this is variant cover D on my comic, and it features my host, the curator here. This is Henry Warren from the H.P. Lovecraft story, Statement of Randolph Carter. This is from the Edgar Allan Poe story here. This is M. Valdemar. And this is from the Robert E. Howard story, In the Forest of the Affair. This is Corrales. So I'm this is probably my favorite cover. I just, am particularly happy with it. So middle tier, you get upgraded to, you send 5 comics to them, and then you get upgraded to this without paying the cost of this. Because this is limited to, I think, 25 copies or so, and it has a higher price. And then, so when I was putting this together, I totally got the math wrong, and I was supposed to charge. I meant to charge less per comic because you're sending them to a charity, and I charged a premium. And then when I was trying to fix it, Kickstarter wouldn't. I don't know if I was doing something wrong, if it was a glitch, but I couldn't adjust the price down on that tier. So I just increased the quantity from, instead of you're sending them 5, you're sending them 10. And then the top tier that deals with comics for kids and comics for troops, was you send them 10 and you get the glow in the dark cover, which is limited. I think I limited that one to 10 copies, and so it's going to be really rare. And same thing, I did the math wrong and I couldn't adjust the price down, so I have changed that one to, instead of you send 10 copies to them, you send 15 copies, and it didn't change the price. So that works out that way. But I need to get going and go attend to a couple of things here at work. Once again, anybody who sees this may check out my campaign at Kickstarter, and it's an anthological archive of great ghastly horror. I'm Tyler Blake. Brian, thanks for stopping by and chatting. I always enjoy when people interact during the live streams. Hope you enjoyed that. And I will see y'all a little bit later today, maybe probably in an hour or two. I'm going to get back on and do some more watercolor on here and hopefully give a good update on the campaign. So we'll see y'all later.